It is estimated that 1 in every 10 people have dyslexia. In the US, that means that 4 million of the adult population can be dyslexic, but only about 50% of them are aware of that. The global diagnosis and management market for dyslexia has expanded exponentially over the last few years, and yet the prevalence of this condition keeps on rising. The prevalence of dyslexia in school-going children can be as high as 20%. But what is more worrying is the fact that most of those children have not been accurately diagnosed. The limitations in screening and diagnosis of this complex learning disorder is highly noticeable, and a large majority of the population does not have access to the professionals who actually conduct these diagnoses. Hi, I'm Mariki Salia, the optometrist that brings you practical and real information so that you can serve your patients better and build a more successful business. So what is it that we are doing? I am very excited to introduce to you and bring to you a brand new concept in the management and diagnosis of learning disorders. Virtual reality's ability in ending learning disability disorders. So as a primary eye care provider, one of the most challenging situations I always face is the fact that monitoring, assessing, treating and diagnosing learning disorders have been very subjective. In the diagnosis and management of learning disorders, we've always been very dependent on qualitative data. And the two measurables that's always been on the top of that list is reading accuracy and speed. But there is very little quantitative data involved, which as a clinician kind of makes it very hard to really determine whether the treatment solution is really effective. So here's the question. What if we could screen, diagnose, assess and treat these complex conditions on the back of a quantitative set? Now, I don't know about you, but that makes me super excited to be able to measure something in the actual diagnosis and treatment of these conditions. But let me explain to you what I mean in that. With the advancement of virtual reality technology, we are now able to measure things like eye tracking and verbal responses in the middle of a screening or diagnostic test for a learning disorder. This can be done alongside the measurement of the actual reading accuracy and speed as well. Now, what this will do is this will give you information and quantitative data that you can compare pre and post treatment. How exciting is that? Then it can go one step further, and for the educational psychologist, one can then add a biometric monitoring system where you can actually track brainwaves, systemic function, emotional response, and so much more. So now not only can you track and quantitatively measure reading response and accuracy, you can also track eye movements, train them, and also measure verbal response at the same time. What this is going to do in the learning disability space is that it is going to save a lot of time. It also becomes a lot more cost effective, allowing these systems to be more freely available in screening environments such as schools and baseline medical practices like eye care providers. As a parent, you can now have your child do their training at home, being monitored by their healthcare provider. The home training is then done in a virtual gaming system, which obviously makes the chances that the child wants to do their training a lot more likely. This is monitored remotely by the healthcare provider, and quantitative data is continuously collected, which can be compared to the data before and after treatment. Treatment is much easier to adjust, and progress, monitoring and reports is a lot more accurate and a lot more valuable with quantitative numbers. So this is where we're going. Virtual reality's ability to eliminate learning disorder disabilities. Modern technology's ability to decrease and hopefully eliminate the prevalence of learning disorders worldwide. If I have intrigued you Then go ahead and click on the button below this video to learn more about this amazing development in the learning disability space, as well as the diagnosis and management of dyslexia.